to find ways to draw and leverage that dollar on with every other private dollar we can get to achieve this very important goal. And so I pledge to work with all of the council to find ways to treat everybody with respect in this community. I absolutely agree. Housing is not a luxury item. Housing is a necessity, and everybody is entitled to fair, decent, and safe housing in our community. I don't want to get into debates. That's not fair or safe, so we need to find ways to address that directly. Last, I would say every idea is a good idea. We need to examine and hear from you, so I want to thank all of you for taking the time. The sun is shining outside, Mayor, as we promised rain and gave them all umbrellas when they got here as a sign of good luck. But this is an important issue. This is the issue, along with congestion, that we need to find answers for, because we cannot call ourselves a successful community when we have longer food lines, more people in need of shelter, housing that people can't afford. The average house is $270,000. In the city, you need to earn $95,000 a year to be able to qualify to buy a home. You'll see lots of programs, from home sites to location-efficient mortgages to property tax abatements. The real key here is to get housing back on the federal agenda. And we spent time today and yesterday with the president, the vice president's campaign saying you've got to put it back on. As we look about giving tax cuts with our prosperity at the federal level, we need to be thinking about investing in the most basic need that our citizens have in this community. And it's not limited to Seattle. It's happening all over the country. So if we don't pay attention to that, we can't call ourselves a successful country. It isn't about the bottom line. It is about read the Office of Housing proposal, which was a concrete proposal, and read the program that's in there, and I think you'll find the city's doing a lot. We need a lot more to do, and I think we need your help in making that happen. Thank you.
Great. Well, this is the very first time we have ever given out an Outstanding Landlord Award, and we will be giving out an Outstanding Renters Award. Alvin Hendricks is the recipient of this award, and he doesn't like the word landlord, so I won't use that word. He likes the word friends and family, and you will understand why. He is the kind of individual that we would all love to have as the manager of our building. Since he bought the El Capitan Apartments on Capitol Hill in 1971, he has personally interviewed every person that applied to live there. That's how we found out about him. Someone, a renter, went and applied and interviewed and was shocked, pleasantly surprised. Mr. Hendricks asks people about their lives. He gets to know them one-on-one. Quote, "I'm more interested in people than money," he says. "I don't really need their money," he tells them. "I need good people in my building." He tells tenants that if they live by the golden rule, treat others as you would like to be treated yourself, then you will work out just fine at the El Capitan. He says he shakes hands of new tenants instead of running a credit check or verifying the check for deposit and last month's rent. This system has served him very well for over 30 years. He puts his profits back into the property, keeping it a respectful place to live. He keeps his rents below market rate. The average rents for studios and one-bedrooms is between $450 and $600. And he raises rents once about every 2 years, maybe $25, maybe $50 at the most. He is a model for responsible, respectable friends and family who are making investments in our community. Please help me. It is truly an honor to honor this man, Alvin Hendricks, as the Renters Summit Outstanding Friend and Family.
Wow. I never dreamed I would ever receive anything like this, and I never even dreamed I would have someone explain how I operate and how nice I am, because I don't know. But finally, with all these beautiful words, you know, I don't like the word landlord. I'm not lord over anyone. I am your friend, and you are a member of my family. And that's what I believe, and that's the way I was trained by my father, and I was born in this town, and I'm going to die in this town, and I'm going to take care of the El Capitan apartments until I'm gone, and it'll go on to my family. So I really appreciate all you've done and all you said. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Oh, I know. Yeah. I do want to. You know, I actually apologized to him for this, that now his waiting list, he has a waiting list, of course, is only going to get even longer. And yet his apartment, the El Capitan, is on Capitol Hill. Imagine what he could actually sell that building for a fortune and make a fortune, and you don't. Thank you. Just an upstanding community member. Well, now for the tenants. We could not pick one tenant this year. Instead, we are picking one of the most courageous group of individuals that I have ever met, the Biltmore Tenants Collective. When many of you have read about them, they've gotten extensive press. When the tenants at the Biltmore Apartments on Capitol Hill first received their notice that their building was sold to a new owner, they did not realize what was in store for them. Soon after they received a hefty rent hike, a couple of tenants were aware of a city law that mandated 60-day notice for rent hikes over 10%. They knew that the management had violated this, so they talked to neighbors, signed a complaint letter to management, and sought help from elected officials. They were successful in getting the illegal rent hike rescinded, but unfortunately, a steeper rent hike soon followed for many who had complained, and the battle has ensued to this day. The city attorney's office decided not to prosecute the Biltmore management because they could not be assured of proving retaliatory intent beyond a reasonable doubt. It's a criminal standard. We're looking at reducing that to a civil standard. The Biltmore tenants are changing policy. In recognition of their struggle, their persistence, and their inspiration, and the courage to speak out, it is very, very scary to make a phone call, to say something to anyone that you're going to lose your home, and they did this. If you all could please come on up and accept an award, and please help me in honoring the Renter Summit Outstanding Tenant Award. Thank you. Great. You guys go. Steve Medina, Russell Scheitelman, Garwood Nickel, Julie Hughes, Cara Seibner, Heather Wright, Lee Lumsden, Devin Decourt, Brandon Woodruff, and John Shalata. Thank you. There you go. There's her website. Okay. Well, thank you. In wrapping up, where do we go from here? I've gotten a bunch of wonderful emails from renters saying, telling me their story, and then saying, please help me, please do something. And it's disappointing that the pessimism is so great. But I hope that with the beginning of the summit, it was a campaign promise. I followed through on a campaign promise. And just as I promised I would put on the Renter Summit, I promise you that I will spend the next 3.5 years working very hard on rental housing policy and for renters. So please look at the back of the booklets. We discuss next steps. Everything that we discussed today does not go through my committee. It will go through other committees. My office will work with you on some of those policies and others. We had 9, all of your city council members, all 9 of us were here today, and the mayor. This is a city that cares and that needs your help, and we will move forward together as a community. Thank you all so much for coming. Enjoy the sun. Thank you.
Morning, everybody. Have with me, starting on my left, Council President Sue Donaldson, Virginia Anderson, who's the director of the Seattle Center, Council Persons Licata and Compton. And we're here to announce that the city-sponsored activities at the Seattle Center for the Millennium Celebration will terminate at 6 o'clock in the evening. Making that decision was a tough task. But after talking with everybody from the police department, the fire department, getting the most current information from the FBI and the U.S. Attorney, and in consultation with the council, we had 5 council people involved, 4 at one time, never 5. For those of you who follow the rules precisely as we do, and we've had a thorough examination of all of the risks attendant to this decision, and based on the fact that it's a very different sort of event. It's not like every other New Year's Eve, and we have a whole lot of activities occurring in our city, from the Y2K issues that could affect the whole city in various effects. We're comfortable that the city government's in good shape, but we have the whole community, and there are everything from elevators to other activities that we have to be on the alert to. It also is something that when we heard the terrorist who drove a bomb across the border, at least heightened the information and the intelligence about the possibilities of a terrorist threat. And although we are comfortable that Seattle is not a target, that is the advice that we've received from the FBI, they can't at the same time assure us that, that there's no risk, and that at a time when a city is just recovering from the WTO and the anxieties, the heightened anxieties generally everywhere, that adding another layer of uncertainty at this time was not the prudent thing to do. And that our concern was really first for the safety of our citizens, first, second, and third, and the safety and concern of being able to respond to the whole of our community. A couple of points that I'd like to make, that I'd like to remind our citizens that discharging weapons within the city limits is an illegal act and a safety hazard, that people should not drink and drive. They should not call 911 to make sure the systems are working, because it'll jam the system. They will be working if you need them, but don't call to check. So again, I want to stress this was a decision focused primarily on the public safety of our citizens, that we are concerned that people have a safe New Year's Eve, that taking an extra precaution seemed to us to be the prudent course of action. With that, I'd like to introduce Council President Sue Donaldson.
I'd also like to acknowledge Councilmember Richard McIver, who is here, and we'd love to have him join us. He was also part of this. These are unusual times, and I think that many people were consulted by the mayor in making this decision to get the best information from the fire department, the police department, the Justice Department, the FBI. The council members were also involved. And it really became apparent that these are unusual circumstances, that the WTO with the arrest of the border. And the fact is there'll be great seats for the fireworks. We're blessed with the city of Hills, and everybody will still be able to see the fireworks from the place they watch it from for the 4th of July and in prior New Year's. So there's still great seats for the fireworks. The fireworks will go off as expected. It seemed unwise to create a crowd of 50 or 60,000 people in these uncertain situations. So that was the decision that the mayor made, and I certainly support it.
Before we go to Jenny Anderson, who I'd like to give the details of what this really means in terms of programming, the Millennium Celebration has started on Sunday, and in fact it started back on Martin Luther King Day, when we started planting trees, opening up urban streams, and we're going to be lighting a bridge here later this week, hopefully a second bridge before the celebration ends, which is scheduled to end on Earth Day. And as you all have been told in the past, that we're in this city trying to focus on the core values of our community, of volunteerism, celebrating diversity, being good stewards of the natural environment, as a moment to reflect and carry with us into the next millennium those elements that make a great community. That is ongoing. That will continue to be ongoing. With that, Jim Compton.
I want to applaud the mayor's courage in making this decision. I think it takes guts to say that we will do what's necessary to reduce the risk, and to say that no loss of a party or a big party is worth the loss of a single life. And I think we made the right decision to reduce the risk and to not create the inviting phenomenon of 50,000 people all in one place at a moment when maybe the city couldn't afford to take that chance. I think this was the right decision. It was done the right way with everybody involved. There was a very, very good discussion among police and fire and city council and mayor. And it was the right thing to do. We've reduced the risk. It's going to be a wonderful New Year's, because we'll all see the fireworks, which are going to go on. And
other similar type centers. But I'm wondering, I mean, something like Islandwood, which is doing this very unique approach to experiential learning, you have models, I would imagine, well outside the world of environmental or outdoor learning. What are some of the other kinds of models you look at or draw inspiration from that have nothing to do with this
Right.
this mode of teaching?
Well, our mission has two parts, and one part is to just have an excellent educational experiences. So we look at all sorts of places that we believe are doing excellent educational experiences, and even locally, places like SAM, an art museum, but that is actually a great place to look for educational experiences that are really good. The Pacific Science Center, the zoo, the aquarium. And then outside of that, we even look at places like the Met or other centers that are in places like Teton or in the Smoky Mountains that might have very large populations coming to them. And some of them have been around for about 30 years, so we have a lot that we can learn from them. The other half of our mission is to inspire stewardship. And so we really hope that the kids and really all of our visitors are a little bit changed when they leave Islandwood. So we have a whole different set of groups that we're looking at for that. Some of those I already named. They're more the environmental groups like the zoo or the aquarium that help kids learn how to be stewards for their community and for the world around them.
What about, I mean, it sounds like so many of these lessons, whether it's literally about the telemetry and locating those owls, or whether it's the larger lessons about stewardship, are things that lots of people should be learning, not just inner city school children, grades 4 through 6,
Right.
But school children of all backgrounds or adults of all backgrounds. To what extent do you feel tempted to evangelize and bring this gospel to a wider set of learners?
Well, we feel so tempted that we're doing it. We have over 4,000 kids coming to our summer programs and our school overnight program that I described. And then we also have day programs that are shorter to allow more kids to come. But then we're also, as I mentioned, serving the graduate students who live on site, and we're serving hundreds of teachers each year from throughout the state. And then outside of that, we have family programs and we have adult programs, because what we've learned is that we've got this incredible place, this space that is really unique, and where we've built it so that learning can happen. And the same thing is true if you or I go there as a 4th or 5th grader. There's a sense of wonder and excitement and learning about our role in the world. And so we've had corporate retreats. We call them our leadership program. And we've had Starbucks and Boeing and REI and some really large companies out there. And what they're doing, though, is they're not just saying, let's have a party. They're out there really with intent to learn about how their company and how they as individuals interact with the world and how they can better the environment as companies. So they're doing really important work at Islandwood, too.
Do you, particularly when you focus on the school children who go through Islandwood?
Sure.
One way to look at Islandwood is to say this is a wonderful, rich adjunct to the education experience that kids are getting in school. Another way that one could look at it over time, I don't know whether enough time has elapsed, is that this is actually the future of school. That school, as we've traditionally done it, doesn't make so much sense anymore, and that doing it like you all do it at Islandwood, which is incredibly experiential and woven into a culture and imbued with these values, is going to be what we need to do in the future. Do you agree with that, or do you already sense that that's the way you all want to move at Islandwood?
I am so glad you asked that question. I wish I'd handed it to you on a card. It is absolutely the way I think that I started out as a teacher myself. I taught in Louisiana, and I went there with a program called Teach for America. And here I was in this at the time, Louisiana was 49th out of 50 in the United States for education quality. And so I was teaching inner city kids, and I found that to motivate these kids, they were showing up I had a 3rd grade classroom. They were showing up pre-kindergarten for math and for reading. And I found that really the way to motivate these kids was to make it real. To really use, so you have to write a letter, you have to learn how to do a salutation. Well, let's write a real letter to our senator asking him for something that we want, or let's get outside of the classroom. And so you're absolutely right. I think that our education system is based on, over 100 years ago, a model that was agrarian, that was factory worker style, where kids are sitting at desks. And if you look at most classrooms, they might have whiteboards with dry erase markers, but they're pretty similar to the blackboards of the one-room schoolhouse. And so I think what Islandwood is doing with experiential education, with hands-on, real, and it's true with our graduate students too. They are not sitting in a classroom at an ivory tower listening to a professor. They're actually in the field learning by doing. And there are a lot of sayings that I really believe in, that if you show me, I'm not going to remember it. If I hear it, but if I do it, I'm going to remember it forever.
Does that lead you to think about Islandwood actually becoming a school in a sense of I mean, it is in a informal way already a school,
Right.
but in terms of actually seeking the formal
Right.
accreditation or whatever's required.
Well,
to,
when you pull up, it says Islandwood, a school in the woods. So we already kind of think of ourselves as a school. I don't think we're going to get accreditation and be a formal school with the same students each week because there's such a need. So it's really nice. I mean, we're serving over 60 schools right now. And I think it's important to have this, the way that I'm thinking about it is that we're a model. And that when teachers and kids come, they get a taste of what can be, and that teachers are reminded of what they can be doing in their classrooms. And even though they don't have the ability to walk on 255 acres, or they can't go to a tree house in their schoolyard, or a big bridge over a ravine, or a floating classroom, which is our bridge, they still can do experiences in their classroom. They can do what I did when I was a teacher, like climb on their roof with parachutes that the kids have made and see which ones crash on the way down and which ones. So they could, they can make it really.
was it kids attached to the parachutes? Or
No.
objects?
They were eggs attached to it. It's kind of a neat experiment that a lot of teachers will do. You use regular household supplies to make a parachute, and you cradle an egg in it, and you can do whatever you want to save the egg, and you throw it from a height. To really talk about how experiential it was going to be, we were going to drop them from a helicopter. And a friend of mine was a pilot in the Army, the Army helicopter. And it turned out it was so windy he couldn't do it that day. And so here I am on the roof throwing these parachutes off. But some of the eggs made it, some of them didn't.
So you spent how many years with Teach for America?
I was with TFA for 5 years. 2 years in Louisiana teaching with the Corps, and then I went to New York and was on their national staff. Ended by being their development director, fundraising for them, and it was an interesting time because it was. We used to say we were building the plane as we flew it. It was young.
How did you get drawn to teaching in the first place? What was your path to TFA?
I was maybe not the most mature of kids. When I was graduating from college, I had never heard of even iBanking or consulting. I didn't know what any of these things were. I didn't go to any of the on-campus recruiters. And I was planning on traveling and working my way around the world. And I applied to one thing. My mom sent me a little, it must have been 50 words in Time magazine, a little article that just said that Teach for America was getting started, because it got started during my senior year. And so I applied for it.
Senior year in college.
Yeah, I was a junior when it got started. I was in the second year of the program. So there was this little blurb saying, here's this thing. And I decided to apply almost on a whim. I knew I wanted to be, at the time, a professor. And so I wanted to experience teaching. I knew I wanted to give something back to my own country. And so I went and did it, and did not know what I was getting into.
What about, where did those two things come from? The idea that you wanted to be a professor and the idea that you wanted to give something back to your country?
Well, the giving back piece is definitely something that, and I know you're big on mentors, and one of the ones I'd have to name was my parents. We had a child living with us that was from, I grew up in Minnesota, and this child was from inner city Watts, LA, living with us through a program called A Better Chance. So he was actually like my brother. He was a year older than he lived with us for 3 years to go to high school. When I was growing up, my parents were always very active in the community, and they weren't educators in the system, but they were very involved, and I think at an early age I learned to give back. As far as education, I think that that's just something that grew on me through my studies and the people I met. The people that most touched me while I were in college, or that most impacted me, were a couple of professors, one in particular at the University of Minnesota, that really challenged me and pushed me and turned me on to that as a career. Of course, I didn't end up there. I didn't end up working at a university.
What field did you think you were going to become a professor in?
Social psychology, which is how groups of people think.
What was attractive to you about that field?
The thing that excites me about psychology is just that, and social psychology in particular, is that we are social animals, you and I, and we behave differently if we're in a room of 100 people than if we're alone. If you're nervous for a sporting event and you've practiced a lot, that can be a really good thing for you. If you're nervous for a sporting event and you stink at it, then it's a really bad thing and your performance is worse. And so the way that our mind works is very much related on what's going on around us and who is around us, and that just fascinated me.
Now, obviously that became a very applied set of lessons once you were
being in the shock about it, just. So I should. Huh? Yeah, let me get the music a little bit. And that'll just give. And I would, you guys want to look at the camera, so I'm standing as close as I can to the camera. Yeah, so it's hard to get a line.
One way?
We just pick one line. So I mean, just whatever works out the best.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so we're singing the whole thing though?
You're just gonna sing this first verse.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, all the way through to this last card.
Okay.
Okay.
So all
You
four.
gonna sing? Now
Okay.
smile, Mel. You want to smile, honey. It looks like he's in pain.
I can't sing, I can tell you that right now.
Oh, none of us can.
This is on four. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Think of your fellow man, lend him a helping hand. Put a little love in your heart. You see it's getting late.
Oh,
Please don't hesitate. Put a little love in your heart. And the world would be a better place. And the world would be a better place for you and me. You just wait and see. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we needed this. We needed this shot. We really did. Everybody's showing up like 20 people out of an office. I mean, it backs you up so far, you go like, who's that over there?
Oh, wow.
So that's great.
So it's us and the mechanics.
That's all we need.
Dick, we want you back there pounding.
Just real quick, names and how do you spell them, please?
Milton Jarvimaki. Jarvimaki.
Bobby Wallace, Bobbiwallace.
Kelvin Green. Kelvin.
Okay, I think we got all that.
Great. Okay.
Okay. And I have Steve. Wait just a second. Yeah. Steve, but I don't have focus. Funny how you can see their faces in the picture. Okay, and ready.
Okay. You guys ready? On 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Another day goes by, and still the children cry. Put a little love in your heart. You want the world to know we won't let hatred grow. Put a little love in your heart, and the world will be a better place. Yes, the world will be a better place for you and me. You just wait and see. Wait and see.
Okay. Now, let's go back and do it one more time. And at the end, when you get here, put a little love in your heart. 3 times. Put a little love in your heart. Rest, 2, 3. Put a little love in your heart. Do it 3 times, okay? At the end. All right? Ready? On 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Another day goes by, and still the children cry. Put a little love in your heart. You want the world to know we won't let hatred grow. Put a little love in your heart, and the world will be a better place. Yes, the world will be a better place for you and me. You just wait and see. Wait and see. Put a little love in your heart. Put a little love in your heart. Put a little love in your heart.
Fire department's got a big budget for things like that, right? Okay, and just your name and how you spell that? So what we're going to do at the end, and we'll just roll a list of everybody's name. No titles, no departments, just names. So I want to make sure we get that correct.
Lieutenant Turner,
Okay?
Turner.
You want to use the first name at all? Or? Okay.
Scott Anderson.
Louis Batteola.
C-O-T-T-T.
SCOTTANDERSEN.
Louis Batteola.
Common spelling.
Batayola.
And Louis is L-O-U-I.
That's good enough.
Tommy Tallman. TOMMY TALLMAN.
Pat Krebs, Krebs.
Beth Massey, Massey.
Deborah Hughes, HUGHES.
Got it.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
This is going to air the kickoff campaign.
Look at the camera. Oh.
Take a good look around, and if you're looking down, put a little love in your heart. I hope when you decide, kindness will be your guide. Put a little love in your heart, and then the world will be a better place. Yes, the world will be a better place for you and me. Just wait and see. Wait and see. Put a little love in your heart. 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 All right, we're done.
Black and white, baby?
I did.
Okay.
Thank you.
Just wanted to remind you since that's a new thing.
And I'm rolling.
And the audio works.
I think so.
You just look at me, ignore him.
Okay.
What is the Zoo 21 campaign? What is it that you guys are trying to accomplish?
Zoo 21 the purpose is to bring this zoo into the 21st century, to actually be able to complete everything we want to complete at the zoo in order to make it what it really needs to be, as far as beautiful naturalistic exhibits for the animals, all the way through to a real serious conservation organization. So it's very broad. It's going to include everything from exhibits to new labs, a new conservation center, administration, parking. There's a lot that has to be done.
Why is that important? I mean, especially the conservation area. You know, that's what you work in.
The zoo is so different than most people believe, and it is zoos in our country today are conservation organizations, but most people don't know that. But the trend in zoos across the country is to become a conservation organization. They've changed their mission statements, they've changed their budgets to reflect this strong commitment to conservation, because we have succeeded in zoos in captive breeding, in naturalistic habitats. All of these things have helped to preserve species, but we have to go beyond that now and use our expertise in the field to help save these species. And we have it in zoos because we have incredible science, we've got technology that people in the field can really use to their advantage. And our zoo is employing some of the latest of those technologies.
What specifically do you know that this money will go for in the area of conservation?
We would like to endow our whole conservation program. We would like to be able to have a new conservation center where we can have the latest in lab equipment. We're talking about a possible necropsy lab where we can do post-mortem exams on animals. We do so much DNA and genetic research from our zoo that is used in zoos all across the country as well as in the field, that we need the latest technology and we need a facility that can really accommodate this kind of work.
With all the causes in the world and all the needs, you've dedicated countless hours, months, years to the zoo. Why do you do it?
Because of my passion for animals. There are many of us who have this passion, many of us who have been, say, to Africa and had that experience that just changes our lives forever. I have had this passion always, but after coming back from Africa and being so in love with it and so in passion for the animals, and I came back wanting to do something. But it finally occurred to me that I'm probably not going to end up being a game warden in Africa, but that there is so much that I can do for conservation of those precious species right here. Because of the work that's going on at the zoo, I can have an impact. I can make an impact. And my goal is to change the idea, change the minds of the people in Seattle so that they become aware that we're more than just a park, more than just a collection of animals, but we are truly a conservation organization, and to impassion other people for animals.
Great. There are many charities that desperately need contributions. Why do you feel it's important for businesses, corporations, and private donors to financially support the zoo?
We have to be concerned with the biodiversity of life. And the arts are fabulous, and this city has many treasures that we should all support. But we can't ignore the biodiversity, and we can't ignore what's happening to these species. The thought that our grandchildren might never see a tiger, that tigers could be gone in our lifetime, that some of the major species might be gone in the lifetime of our grandchildren. These things all matter a lot to me. They should matter to everybody. Everybody doesn't have a passion for nature. I realize that. But everyone should be aware of the part we can play. I don't want to say in saving the world, but it's not just the animals, it's all of us. We are so interconnected. And as I'm learning, there is a tendency in all of us to relate to nature in a very important way. We can't ignore it. Look what's around us.
If you had a donor in front of you and that donor could write a check for $125 million, what would you say to that person to try to convince them to give that money to Willam Park Zoo?
Oh, wow. Well, I think that my tendency now is to go back to that biophilic experience, just to remind a person of the time in their life when they had a biophilic experience, an encounter with nature that was so meaningful that it changed their lives forever. I believe every one of us have had one of those experiences. And I believe that this is hard.
What was that experience for you? Did you have one experience in Africa that...
Well, I think for me those experiences happened earlier in my life. I mean, as far as when I was a child, I used to feed the coyotes, and just being face to face with a coyote was incredible to me. And then I had an opportunity when I was a docent in San Francisco to take care of a baby gorilla, and I just held him, and it was the most amazing experience of my life. Day after day, I got to sit in a little room with this gorilla and hold him and take care of him. And he's grown up now, and he's a fine male, and he's fathered lots of babies. He's in Detroit right now, and he's just a wonderful, it's my sonny, and he's a big 900-pound gorilla now. So that for me was probably my real big biophilic moment. In the Pacific Northwest, we have such treasures around us as far as the natural world that I think we are more keenly aware.
Portion of it properly recycled.
Freon, chemically named chlorofluorocarbons, or CFCs, were banned in 1987 by an international treaty. In addition, it's recognized that CFCs contribute to global warming and are thousands of times more potent than CO2. But the refrigerant fluid isn't the only problem. There is an average of 10 pounds of CFC-laced foam insulation in the refrigerators. This will also eventually be released into the atmosphere if not properly disposed of. Jayco bags this material up and trucks it off to an EPA-sanctioned incineration plant. If you're a City Light customer and have one of these old working refrigerators, here's what you should do. Call Jayco at 1-877-577-0510 for a pickup appointment. The fridge must be plugged in and operating when they show up because this program is only for operating refrigerators. Then, within a 4-week period, you'll receive a payment from City Light for $30. If you need to get rid of a non-functioning refrigerator, call the Seattle Public Utilities customer service line at 206-684-3000 and request bulky pickup service. They'll charge $30, but at least you know it's been properly disposed of. Old refrigerators use much more electricity than the new models. That's even more greenhouse gas being produced to provide that extra power. So it's win-win for you and the environment. If you live outside the City Light service territory, check with your local electric utility. There are similar programs in place or being initiated. For Seattle City Light, I'm Connie McDougall.
Determining how much water is flowing out of the mountains is actually pretty important to Seattle City Light. They use that information to determine how much energy they can produce during the year, balanced against the needs of spawning fish. Peter Clark reports.
Water is the fuel that runs City Light electric generators, and the storage tank for that fuel is the snowpack in the North Cascades Mountains in western Washington, and the mountains that surround the Monterey River in the eastern part of the state. Knowing just how much water is in the mountains and available takes a combination of automated and manual measurement, with mathematical modeling, and a sprinkling of stardust. We'll talk about the stardust in a minute. City Light is the only beneficiary of the water in the mountains. The Skagit and the Monterey rivers also provide irrigation, and in the case of the Skagit, the water is needed to keep migrating salmon healthy. Both require minimum flows out of City Light's reservoirs at various times of the year to maintain these activities. If City Light held back the water behind its dams to release just to make electricity, recreation might suffer, and fish populations would definitely suffer.
City Light says fish first, so we have to be sure we have enough water to protect the reds and the fish species.
Ole Jesness forecasts water supply for the Power Management Division of the utility. Agreements between City Light and the federal and state governments call for water to be released downriver from the dams and reservoirs to keep healthy supplies for spawning salmon, even if it means not as much power will be generated. JESNIS information is used for water management and also economic forecasting by the utility. How he gets the data is where the Stardust comes in. In very remote areas of the mountains are automated sensors called snowtells. These stations make daily measurements of the snow. That information is then sent back to civilization by very low-powered radio transmitters, which beam the information towards space. The radio signals literally bounce off the trails left by meteorites that pass through the upper atmosphere and reflect back to an Earth-bound receiving station in Idaho. While the term Stardust may be a bit of hyperbole, these radio waves would never reach civilization without the reflected trails left by meteorites. This automated data is backed up by manual measurements made by crews that must fly by helicopter to these remote mountaintops and valleys.
We take the snowpack data we get either from the manual snow surveys or from the snowtells, and we plug those snow equivalent data and historical precip and snowpack data into a model that we use to figure out how much snowpack we have. And that model gives us the projected runoff from April through September in the form of water flow in the river.
That period of time is critical to running the dams and reservoirs. Lots of snow means more inexpensive hydroelectricity can be generated and keep ratepayers' costs down. Less snowpack warns power marketers they need to contract to buy power from other utilities later in the year. Early forecast warnings mean contracts can be made at more favorable rates. Waiting until the last minute to buy energy for Seattle's needs may cost more. Again, in low snowpack years, City Light manages water releases from the reservoirs for the benefit of salmon runs and then for the generation of power. JESNIS forecasts are a real challenge even with the manual measurements, since weather changes from one week to the next during the course of a year. But with each new year of data, he gets a little more accurate in his predictions, thanks to the updated model, the snowtells, and a sprinkling of stardust. This is Peter Clark reporting for Seattle City Light.
Thank you for watching. If you want more information about the refrigerator recycling or the Green Up program, go to the website you see on the screen. I'm Kelly Gunther for your Seattle City Light.
Okay, if you're Boeing and you're a Boeing employee or you're the Boeing company, you need to worry about what's going on in the world, what the Japanese economy is looking like, what's happening with the European Union. You can understand that connection. Mm-hmm. And if you're a banker, sure, there's world capital flows, so you need to worry about what's going on with the Thai baht or the different currencies of the world. But if you're a barber or a barista, why would you care about what's going on in Korea or the North Korea or what's... Well, the answer is if 1 in 3 people, 1 in 4 people sitting in your barber's chair are getting their hair cut out of the international economy, then you too need to know what's going on in the world. Mm. And so I think the reality is that probably our region is more sophisticated from conversations I'm having than most of the rest of the United States, but still these connections are so complicated that even I think in our region, those, it's not as probably understood as people should.
You alluded earlier to the fact that there aren't a whole lot of other comparable models around the country for what the Trade Development Alliance is doing here. Certainly at the time when the alliance was getting off the ground. Now, many years later, do you feel like other regions in the country are catching on to what we've been doing here and trying to organize themselves like we do? And does that create arms race is probably the wrong metaphor to use, but does it create a certain race where now the alliances think about what's the next level up of sophistication or reach that we do, and how do you go about doing that?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, it's not just competition in the United States. It's cities all over the world are competing to be prosperous and for jobs and to make their city or their region and their people
do well. And so I think one of the things we try to do is not say our competitors or our customers are no longer just Denver or Philadelphia or Orlando or Sacramento, but it's the world, particularly this region. I have had materials requested and have spoken, and in Kansas City and Pittsburgh and Orlando partly copied us. Spokane has an International Trade Alliance. Christchurch, New Zealand did a complete plagiarism. In fact, invited me down to kick it off. The most interesting one I got was one day we got a call from a few years ago from Bogota, Colombia, and they asked one of my people to send everything on the trade alliance to Bogota. So I said, why? And they said, well, they didn't ask that question. So then they called back a few weeks later and asked if I would come to Bogota to present the trade alliance. And it turned out that Michael Porter at Harvard MIT, who does the competitive studies, had done a study for Bogota and recommended they copy us. And so how he knows about us, I'm not entirely sure. But the thing is, in the United States, the basis for success is your metropolitan economy. That's how that economic system works. And the key aspects of that, whether it's transportation or education or the employment market, how well people can get to work, and all the things we argue and talk about here, how well does the overall system work? And in most American areas, because of our nature of our government, in this region there are over 80 cities, 3 to 4 counties, a number of chambers, special districts. It's complicated governance structure. So the need to, but still when you're over in, I remember we went to Vietnam. We took the first trade mission ever to Vietnam in 1993, and we had a person with us from the Puget Sound Vietnamese Association. So we met, one of our first meetings with the deputy mayor of Ho Chi Minh City or Saigon, and we went around the room to introduce ourselves, and we got to this gentleman, and a young guy, and he said, well, I'm from the Puget Sound Vietnamese Association. So the vice mayor said, Puget Sound, what is Puget Sound? And he tried to explain it was a body of water, and the body of water represented a region. And then the deputy mayor said, a region? What is a region? That's not a concept they had. And so it took him about 7 or 8 minutes to try to explain what it was. Well, by the end of the trip, he was calling it the Greater Seattle Vietnamese Association, and they changed the name when he got back. But over there, they don't know that 145th Street is the northern boundary of the city, and 205th gets you into Snohomish County. They just know there's an economic region, it's complicated, and it needs to be presented, and putting an organization like us together in most places is extremely complicated to do.
Now, there's a strategic element to creating this, organizing a city-state like this economically and otherwise, but there's a cultural component to it as well. And I mean, you've now, not only because you're traveling to other countries, but because you're looking at counterpart organizations in metropolitan regions around the world, I would imagine that part of the selling point that each alliance in each city or region tries to say is that, well, there's something about us that's not just our companies here. We've got Starbucks and Boeing and Microsoft here, but that there's something about the culture of this place that makes it especially competitive. And I'm wondering to what extent conversations about national culture or regional culture or ethnic culture play into the ways that these ideas of competitiveness play out.
Well, we present our region as partly a center of science, a center of research, a center of innovation. I was asked after Kobe, in recovering from the earthquake, Kobe mayors, city people asked me to come to Kobe and do a talk on why Seattle was such a center of research and innovation and technology, and why, where most cities our size would have one technology, aerospace or IT, we had multiple technology and in fact leading companies in that area, in a number of areas. And it struck me when what I said over there, which was, well, one of the things I thought was that if a place is to be innovative, then people have to take risks. And the question in risk-taking is, people are going to fail. And if you fail, how does your society or culture treat failure? Well, that was about one paragraph in about a 20-minute speech. But when the panel with the Kobe University and some government people, and that was the first question the head of Kobe University's business department asked the panel was, Mr. Safford said, how a place treats failure will tell you whether people take risks and whether therefore they innovate. We don't treat failure very well in Japan. Can we ever be cutting edge place? Well, that was the end of the 30-minute panel discussion. That was what everybody dwelt on, was how the society treats failure. And therefore whether people do innovate, whether people do take risks. And I think that's one of the things we say, and one of the reasons we give, that this region out here, maybe it's the old Wild West, maybe whatever, but we attract and allow people to try new things. And government people try new things, business people try new things, educators try new things. It's not just in one area. And so it seems to permeate our culture. The other thing, getting to what your question is, I think we have an asset we use, which is the multiculturalism of the region. Whether we have Europeans, we have Ethiopians, we have people from South America, Mexico, we have most of the Asian cultures here, therefore we have the language skills, the cultural sensitivity skills to deal with people virtually from around the world. And I think that is one of our real assets, and an asset that hopefully these visa issues don't hurt us on. And while I'm just, to tie that is our international students, which I think is key to this also. In Bangkok, there's a UW Alumni Association with 200 members, and a lot of them are key business leaders. We did a reception in Japan a couple of years ago with the UW Alumni Association in Tokyo, with 200 people came to it, with a lot of key people. One of the top leaders of the Emirates is a Seattle U graduate. We have connections, and I can tell you some great stories on the use of where those connections have helped us from around the world because of the students, and because they've got a big organization here in town, the Phi Utes, but also while they're here, but a lot of them go home and present us with great relations in the future.
You talked about the culture of risk-taking and people being willing to move from one realm to another. And you yourself embody that. I mean, you came to this work after having spent many years in government and public service and politics, working for mayors of Seattle and being a deputy mayor yourself. What was that transition like for you, going from politics to this world? Did it seem like you were doing exactly the same kind of work on a different scale and a different stage, or did you feel like there was a period where you were having to learn entirely new skills and ways of seeing and doing things?
Well, I started out with
Okay, anytime.
this one in the display? Too? Yeah, there was a real big.
Just because an item is for sale in a foreign country, in a legitimate business, does not mean that it is legal to bring into the United States. Unless you can be sure that an item does meet all the requirements under the United States Fish and Wildlife Service laws, you should not buy it. There are many items that, in fact, are legal, but you must check and be sure. The United States Fish and Wildlife Service has put out a booklet of facts for those of you who are going overseas. Okay, you are caught bringing back into the United States an item of illegal wildlife. So what happens? The federal law prescribes certain penalties. It can go as high as $20,000 per offense and 1 year in jail for bringing into the United States an endangered species. Remember, the endangered species, they belong to you, the people of the United States. We are attempting to preserve and protect them so that each and every one of you may be allowed to see and enjoy the critters found in the United States and other parts of the world. We need your help in this important endeavor for protecting our endangered species.